This video is a response to the Critical Drinker's excellent The Drinker Fixes Luke Skywalker video. The link to that video is below. Please have a watch. Look, why are we still talking about this? Well, because it still matters, and it's going to matter for years to come. The topic of Luke Skywalker's character stays relevant because of the amazing level of cultural vandalism that is Disney Star Wars. Disney destroyed the most valuable IP in all of IP, and the number one thing they did to wreck Star Wars was failing to deal with Luke properly. I consider The Force Awakens the worst of the series. By stupidly rehashing A New Hope, that film erased the entire story arc of the Lucas saga, and it condemned the Disney trilogy to being unoriginal and artistically bankrupt. I cannot feel anything at all about The Rise of Skywalker because it's not even a real movie. I mean, it's not. But The Last Jedi makes me sick. It's the only time in the whole Disney mess that any new ideas were toyed with, even if most of those ideas kind of sucked. Blame Rian Johnson all you want for the sorry state of Luke at the beginning of that film, but Rian Johnson did not put him on that dumb island. It was the Disney Story Group and the rubber stamp of story screenplay by Lawrence Kasdan, blah blah, whatever. That marooned Luke there, and it froze the character out of the preceding film. Whatever you say about Rian Johnson, he was not responsible for that part of the mess. But what he was 100% responsible for was the infamous bedroom scene where Uncle Luke comes to pay Nephew Ben a little tuck-in visit and considers murdering him in his sleep. To my surprise, the Critical Drinker felt that this scene could basically go unchanged in his revised version of events. And this is where he and I disagree, because in my mind, this was the moment, the one single place where Disney took the $4 billion they paid for Star Wars and pissed it all away. Besides completely not getting Luke's value system, it also shows a huge misunderstanding of how Luke treats a lightsaber as established through the Lucas saga. Luke does not use his weapon like this. He doesn't stand around and pose with a lightsaber. The character has already made up his mind to bring down mayhem before he turns the thing on. To help illustrate this, I've created this handy chart of what happens each and every time Luke draws his weapon throughout the Lucas saga. As you can see, the outcome is either death and dismemberment, straight up death, attempted death, dismemberment with no accompanying death, or practice. So let's go through it and get a taste for what the lightsaber actually means in the hands of Luke Skywalker. Over the runtime of A New Hope, all he gets is a little bit of practice time, but note, he is not messing around here. His use of the thing is motivated, and he gets better. By the time we catch up to Luke in Empire Strikes Back, he knows enough to be dangerous. Off the jump, he dismembers a Wampa, hacks open an AT-AT hatch to grenade the crew inside to death, and cuts the head off an evil Vader Vision. Next, he attempts to do the same thing to the real-life Heavy D, but without the result he was shooting for. We'll give him an attempted death for that one. The very first time he flicks on his lightsaber in Return of the Jedi, he slaughters every single member of a leading crime cabal. Then he slays a nosy biker scout, attempts to assassinate the Emperor of the Galaxy, and finally does a little bit of hand cutting to Vader, getting himself that sweet, sweet revenge of the Jedi. Nowhere do we see a second of uncertainty or reluctance, because, as I've pointed out, Luke is already committed to a course of action the moment before he sparks up the saber. That's why this depiction of Luke is so thoroughly wrong. If Luke decides to kill somebody, his heart is already turned before he unsheathes his sword. 100% of his lightsaber use establishes this trait in the character. This hesitation and doubt at the moment of decision, not to mention the total absence of cool, is alien to Luke's personality. This means the whole setup for the creation of Kylo Ren does not hold water, and that little detail sinks the entire Disney series with it, except for Rise of Skywalker because it's not a real movie. If you want to take it a little bit farther, The overtly molesterish setup of the bedroom sequence has a distinctly transgressive and frankly repellent sexual subtext. Not sure what kind of allegory Rian Johnson was going after here, but let's call that a good question for another time.